As Cindy said, I'm the regional coordinator for a group called the United West, and I'm a contributing editor for Family Security Matters, and I have about 40 articles published on national security type issues. So, tonight's going to be a two-part message, because in 7 days, you will make the most important decision of your life that will impact you and your family and your families and grandkids for the next 30 or 40 years. It's either Clinton or Trump will become the next president, and they will probably have two, three, maybe even 4 Supreme Court justices that they will be putting on the Supreme Court. So we're going to stay constitutionalists, or we're going to become liberal activists for it. And there's a whole group of people that are no-Trumpers. Are there any no-Trumpers in the crowd? Great. Because the vote not for Trump is a vote for Hillary.
If they put up their hand, bang.
Yeah, and I've had that discussion, as I'm sure that y'all have, with many no-Trumpers, and it's like talking to a wall. I just can't understand it. The division between the two is just so great. And so 7 days, it will finally be over, so keep on pushing, pushing, and pushing, getting your friends to vote. It's so important. Nick, raise your hand. Nick has been just absolutely working his tail off in Trump. And I congratulate him for all his hard work. And Cindy and everybody else is working to get Trump elected. So everyone here knows what's at stake. Decisions have been made, votes have been cast, so push hard these next 7 days. Now, this weekend's development with the FBI, because the FBI issued a search warrant for Clinton aide Huma Abedin. Now this is huge because on Sunday night, after new emails surfaced in the law enforcement investigation of Abedin's husband, Carlos Danger Wiener, for allegedly sexting a minor, means that for the first time in American history, a candidate for president of the United States is likely now a subject or a target of a federal grand jury investigation. Never in my lifetime did I ever think I would be putting those words together in a sentence 1 week prior to an election. It's the major media should be clamoring to have her resign.
I think there's slight correction. I don't think they subpoenaed Abedin's computer. They subpoenaed Wiener's computer because of the sex technique, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And as well as her devices. Right. And we can get to a Q&A after we're done. So I got about 30 minutes to get through all this. So what this means is that the federal agent has submitted an affidavit to a federal magistrate suggesting criminal conduct relating to Huma Abedin's email, and a federal magistrate, probably in D.C. or New York, has found probable cause of the existence of a crime. If that's any surprise to us. And I encourage everybody to talk to Paula after the event, and then get this video, Hillary's America. Paula, raise your hand. And she runs a group called LIFA, Legal Immigrants for America, does great work. And she has a voting guide. So talk to Paula afterwards and get the video. So what does this mean if Hillary gets elected? It's a huge national security issue. Because from last month here, your speaker, he gave you an academic information of what you need to know about Islamic terrorism. So he went into the Muslim Brotherhood a little bit, who they are, where they came from, a little bit of giving you the basics of who they are. What I'm going to do tonight, rather than going into that since you already have the basics, I'm going to bring everything home to Central Florida, because this is where it matters. And I'm going to name names who the major players are here in Orlando, Florida. This is real important because nobody else I've heard has been willing to do that. And I'll tell you what I've learned about them, not from personal experience. So everything I'm going to tell you is firsthand. Now I've got 30 short minutes to lay this out, and then we're going to learn 3 things. We're going to learn who our enemy is by name. No one's ever said who our enemy is. We're going to learn what groups make up that enemy's list, and most importantly, what our enemy's definition of peace is. Because I don't care if you've read the Quran, the Hadiths, if you've studied. Most people don't have time or the inclination to do that. Even if you have, which is great, if you know your enemy's definition of peace, then you know what their end game is. So we're going at it backwards in to really understand. We're going to find out what Islam's definition of peace is. So first off, who do you think our enemy is? If you have a guess, raise your hand. Wrong. You're going in the right direction. Islam, that's part of it. Anybody? Who? Can you name our enemy? Liberals.
Sharia law.
That's an element. That's definitely an element. Yes, sir?
Complacency.
Complacency is one. Ignorance, Sharia, liberals. Communism is our enemy. Totalitarian regimes are our enemy.
Political correctness.
Yeah. Any government model that is not a representative republic or Democrat or someone from the West is technically, they're not, you may be able to live in peace with them, but actually a kinetic enemy. Our enemy is the global jihad movement. We've heard radical Islam. That's partially the answer, but our enemy is the global jihad movement. And part of it is understanding, well, what groups make that up? Hezbollah, Hamas, yes, all that's true. Ansar al-Sharia, Jamaat al-Fukra, al-Nusra, Boko Haram. Now, all these different terrorist groups are Sunni and Shia. That's the two main groups within Islam. So it crosses those lines. So any Muslim group who is fighting for Sharia is what they're doing to build the caliphate. That is who makes up our enemy list. That's part of the global jihad movement. So what's our enemy's definition of peace? Yeah, that's right. That's part of it. Our definition of peace as Americans is the absence of violence. Our enemy's definition of peace, and we're going to learn a little Arabic tonight, and it starts, Dar al-Harb. Repeat after me, Dar al-Harb, and Dar al-Islam. Right, Dar al-Harb, Dar al-Islam. That is the Islamic worldview. It's the house of war, Dar al-Harb, and the house of Islam, the house of peace. The definition of Islamic peace is when the world or a government follows the Islamic law or the Sharia Islamiyah. That is the definition of peace. And the average follower, they don't care whether you convert to Islam or not. It's irrelevant to them because they know that once a country becomes Islamic, if you choose to remain a Christian, a Jew, a Hindu, a Zoroastrian, but mainly a Christian or a Jew, that you have the opportunity to become what's called a dhimmi or a second-class citizen. That means that you follow the Pact of Umar. It means that you're a second-class citizen, and that you pay a jizya tax, which is a protection tax. It's kind of like the mafia in New York City. For all the, if you lived in an Italian area of New York and you had a business, you would pay a protection tax to the mafia to keep you safe. To keep you safe from them. Now, this is what the jizya is. It's a tax on you to keep you safe from the people who are taking money from you against your will. So the definition of peace is for America to become an Islamic country. Now, a good book to read is this book called by Wayne Rollins. He's an interfaith council leader down in South Florida. This guy, you probably never heard of it. I met him down in South Florida when I KR member was trying to join the Republican Executive Committee there, and he wrote a book called America 2064. So if you want to learn what the civilization jihadist process is, and I'll go into that in a minute as well, but that's what your last speaker was telling me about. Read this book from his perspective. It's by Wayne Rollins, R-O-W-L-I-N-S, called America 2064. Come up after the talk, I'll give you my card, and then we can correspond, and I'll get you all this information. So, what can you do here? Now, what you can do is lobby your congressman. There is a bill currently going through Congress called H.R. 3892. It's called the Muslim Brotherhood Terrorist Designation Act of 2015. Now this bill, what you need to do is talk to your representative. In fact, in this room several months ago, John Micah was here, our representative, or many of our representatives, and I went up to him and I said, Congressman Micah, I said, do you believe the Muslim Brotherhood should be labeled or designated a foreign terrorist organization? And he said, I said, is that something that you could agree with? And he said, yes. I said, okay, well, there's this bill, H.R. 3892, that I think that you should co-sponsor. He said, well, I don't really know about it, but I'll look into it, and I'll get back to you. And I thought, okay, that's the last I'll hear about that. The following day, John Micah called me. I'm a nobody. I haven't donated any money to his campaign or anything like that. One of his staff called me up and said, we reviewed the bill. John Micah's going to co-sponsor. And he did. And I nearly fell out of the chair. I thought it was fantastic. So this global jihad movement, you got to remember, it's not only made up of shooters and bombers, like we saw over at the Pulse nightclub. There's a whole element called the civilization jihadist process that the global jihadist movement actively engages in countries where the followers of Islam are a minority and they are considered weak. Just like when Muhammad was in Mecca, he was considered weak, and in 10 to 12 years, he only converted 100 people to Islam. When he migrated or did the hijrah to Medina, then he became violent and started raiding and made looting caravans honorable and good. And then Islam expanded and grew. But right now, here in America, they are weak. So the battle space is called dawah. That's proselytizing or encouraging those to come to Islam. Dawah is inviting the non-believer to Islam. Dawah is another branch where Islam grows political influence and shapes policy through groups whose purpose is to subvert from within. These main groups are CARE, the Council on Islamic Relations, the Muslim Student Association, ICNA, which by the way just opened up a new mosque in Lake Mary right near you, Mike. And what I've seen of them, most of their services are all in Urdu, and I'm not getting a very good feeling from what they're doing over there. There's a group called NATE, the North American Islamic Trust, which holds title to 75% of the mosques here in America. And if you doubt me, go to the Orange County Property Appraisals. How many people are familiar with that site? Well, go into the search engine, put in North American Islamic Trust, and Imam Musri's mosque will pop up. Imam Musri, I'll go in as one of the bad guys, and I'm going to talk about a little bit. His mosque is owned by NATE, which is an arm of the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, all that's good to know, but what's really important is who the players are here in Orlando. So the first is Imam Muhammad Musri. He is the Imam of the Islamic Society of Central Florida. He's one of the three wise guys with Rabbi Eagle and Brian Fulwider. They're on NPR, and they have a weekly show. Now, Imam Musri is the local media's go-to guy for anything to do with Islam or Muslims or anything that nature. They go to Imam Musri. His mosque is made up of, you imagine this is the Goldenrod Mosque. He's got spokes out with 13 other mosques all around Central Florida that he controls. That's kind of how it works, is you have one, and you branch out, and then from there, those branches will branch out, and that's how you build it, and they will come. He also is very influential in the Interfaith Council of Central Florida. They have a working relationship even with the Holocaust Memorial Center in Maitland, Florida, which is quite disturbing. Now, if you were to meet Imam Musri, how many people know who he is or have met him? If you were to meet him, he's the nicest guy in the world. Soft-spoken, very friendly, and when I tell you what I'm going to tell you, you try to conflate that with, okay, well, I met him, he's a nice guy, he always wears a suit, he's very Americanized, and he's just an all-around good guy. And then when you hear what I'm going to tell you, you're going to say, well, the two don't compute, and there's something that's not right. Dr. Matuzitz always says, he is a wolf in sheep's clothing. They say one thing with their people, and then they say another thing in public, and they put on a public skin or persona. Now, in June of 2009, a Muslim friend of mine in Tampa, he told me that George Galloway was coming to speak at Imam Musri's mosque. George Galloway is was a parliamentarian from England. He's very big in the Palestinian movement, raising money for Palestinian causes. And so he was coming to speak in Orlando. I'm like, this is something I need to go to. So I got 8 of my friends. We all went. We had 2 big media cameras, shoulder-sized cameras. We went in, we put the cameras on big tripods. We looked like bugs. So we went in the front door, we signed the sign-in sheet like you do here. Everything is overt, we don't do anything covert, but we went in like we owned the place. So we went in, said hello, we were smiling, greeting everybody, nice as could be. We put the camera up on one side, on the other, and nobody knew what to make of us. They were too afraid to ask us who we were. They thought we were media, and they just didn't know. And so we had to run to the place. So we set up the 2 cameras, and then what we witnessed was shocking, to say the least. Imam Musri, Mahdi Bray of the Muslim American Society, George Galloway, this ended up being a Hamas fundraiser that we caught on film. They collectively raised over $55,000 that was delivered to the Hamas government in Gaza by Galloway. We have this all on a video. So get my card if you haven't seen the video. We've got over close to 600,000 hits on YouTube on the video. And we show Galloway handing a bag of cash to the head of Gaza, of Hamas. And so what's the takeaway from this? The takeaway is that Imam Musri supports Hamas. If you support Hamas, you hate Israel. If you support Hamas, on some level you hate the United States of America because we are Israel's greatest ally. That is who Imam Musri is when he thinks nobody is looking. On that night, we were looking, and we filmed it. And then we took the raw footage, we gave that to our friends at the FBI and Treasury. They held on to that footage for close to a year before they released it back to us and put the video out. So Muhammad Musri is the true definition of a wolf in sheep's clothing. So when you meet him, think back about us going in with the camera and him raising $55,000 for Hamas. And you see him and you think, oh, he's such a nice guy. Oh, the guy supports Hamas. In fact, how many people have heard of the Hamas Charter? Well, the Hamas Charter, the second paragraph states that Israel will exist and will continue to exist until Islam will obliterate it, just as it obliterated others before it. That's strong stuff. Let that sink in for a minute. We're talking obliterating every man, woman, and child Israel. This is what Hamas wants to do. This is what they strive to do. This is why they know that they can't beat them militarily, so they're firing rockets by the thousands into Israel. This is who Imam Musri supports. Next, number 2, Rasha Mubarak of CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. She is the new local person that heads up CARE. Well, on July 24th, 2014, Chris Kastler and I, they were having an Al-Quds event. They do this yearly. Al-Quds is a celebration started in Iran to support those Palestinians who fight Israel. In Tehran, every year they have footage of demonstrators chanting, "Death to Israel, death to America." How many people have seen the videos of that? Well, they do it a lot. You may not have seen it at the Al-Quds Festival, but it's a regular, anytime they get together, it's always "Death to Israel, death to America." But on Al-Quds Day, that's what they were doing. They were having this event at Lake Eola at the amphitheater, and Chris and I were there. I had my camera, as always, and all of a sudden, we're just on the sidelines, just taking everything in. You see 2 guys waving a Hezbollah flag. Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a designated terrorist by our State Department. These are bad guys. These are the guys who have 10,000 rockets pointed at Israel ready to go anytime. These are hardcore terrorists. Here in Orlando, Florida, 2 guys were waving the Hezbollah flag. That became very interesting to me. Chris went up and started talking to him, had it mic'd up, and then I kind of stayed off on the side, and they began their conversation. I started moving in slowly. And then one of their leaders, well, of the 2 guys, there was one talking, the other one not, and he was very happy to talk. He was thrilled to have someone listening to him, which makes him always the best person to have on camera, because he kept talking. He didn't care what he was saying. And he wasn't afraid to speak the truth as he knew it. That's what makes him interesting, this guy. So anyway, they start speaking, and he's supporting Hezbollah, telling us, oh, well, they're freedom fighters, they're this, they're that, they're everything but a terrorist. So Rasha Mubarak sees the Hezbollah flag. They see us filming him and the Hezbollah flag. Rasha knows me. And it makes her nervous because she does not want this on video. And for very good reason. Because it's damning. It exposes who they are when they think nobody is looking. So she goes to her friend, waves him over. My camera, I'm here facing this way, looking at the guy with the Hezbollah flag. Rasha Mubarak is maybe to my right, maybe where the end of the table is. So I've got my camera kind of going over here. She's kind of off, right at the edge of my lens angle. And then she speaks to him in Arabic. And then the guy comes back on camera, and first thing he says, "What are you, a couple of Jews?" And I'm like, okay, I don't know where that's from. Well, it ends up that I gave the footage to a friend of mine up in D.C. who is a translator for one of the branches of the government up there. So she reviewed the footage, and I thought that what she had said was inaudible, because I could barely hear it. She came back and said, Rasha Mubarak said, she said, "Uncle, don't talk to them, they're a couple of Jews." And that was corroborated when he came back and said, "What are you, a couple of Jews?" Because that's an unusual thing to say. So what's the takeaway on this? Rasha Mubarak supports Hezbollah. She obviously hates Israel. Therefore, she, on some level, must hate America. She qualifies as one of the bad guys here in Central Florida, along with her boss, Hassan Shibli, who we have a lot of information on him. But I don't have enough time to go into it. We do half-day seminars on this topic, and sometimes full-day seminars, and it's easy to fill up that time. Number 3 on the list is a guy named Marcus Dwayne Robertson, or Imam Abu Tabal. You might have seen him on the news a couple of years ago. he was in jail on a felony gun charge, but FISA actually had him in there on terrorism charges because he, as a local imam was at his mosque over by the airport. Well, he was grooming this one fella to go to Mauritania to train as a terrorist, and then from there go to Iraq with the target of taking out and assassinating high-ranking American soldiers. Those are the charges. There was a federal court case in the federal court building downtown, which I went to, and because this was also very interesting to me as well. This guy, he was also a bodyguard for the blind sheikh, and the blind sheikh is now sitting in jail because he masterminded the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, the first one. Now, this is a bad guy. Now, he has multiple wives by admission. So when I'm sitting in the courtroom and there's a break in the proceedings, I went to the federal prosecutor and I said, why don't you just nail this guy on polygamy charges? He sent out an email stating, me and my wives thank you for your support. He said, look, we'd love to do that. But what he did is he married one, the other two were in separate houses. Technically and legally, they are just his girlfriends. They're not his wife. We can't do anything about it, and he is right. So with polygamy, even though it's illegal, that's how those who practice it get around it. But that's that's a small part of it. The other part is that part of the case that was hinging on was on his computer he had reams of jihadi material. And that is part of what got him off. Hassan Shibli of CARE, the Council of American Islamic Relations in Tampa, came up, and he was a character witness for Marcus Robertson. He's also an imam. Hassan Shibli is also an attorney, and he said to the judge, this was his case to the judge, is that an imam must have this jihadi material on his computer because he has to understand it himself in the event that somebody comes up to him or maybe starts going down that direction of an active jihadist. An imam has to know how to deal with him and bring him back into the right path. The judge bought it. Marcus Robertson released, time served, 2 years in jail, and now he is a free man living in Orlando, Florida. For a time, I don't know if he still is, but he taught Arabic classes at Tifarit's Mosque in Longwood, where we've been. He got kicked out of, but we were there. He taught Arabic there. He's also a regular at CARE banquets. This is a bad guy. And he's walking free here in Orlando, Florida. Number 4 is the Husseini Islamic Center. Now, their claim to fame is that they brought in a sheikh by the name of Sheikh Sakalishvar. This sheikh was on tape stating that homosexuals should be killed and that it's a compassionate thing to do. He said it's compassionate because homosexuals sin in the eyes of Allah. Therefore, they must die so they will not sin, and therefore they will not be offensive to Allah, and it will be better for them, and it may increase their chances of making it to Jannah or heaven. Therefore, it is a compassionate thing to do to kill them. That's pathological. When you say that you need to kill somebody and you're doing them a favor to do it, that is troubling, sick, pathological way of thinking. Well, anyway, Channel 9 got a hold of the story, thanks to myself and a friend, and they took the story and they ran with it. And they aired the story about Sheikh Sakalishvar. They even took the video of him making these outrageous statements, and it was on Channel 9 News the day before he was supposed to speak at the Husseini Islamic Center. The reporter called me up and said to come on out if I wanted to say something. I said, absolutely. My comment was that what he is saying is an incitement to violence, and that it is it's reprehensible. Little did I know how true those words were. Now, whether the two are related, I don't know, but 2 months later, Omar Mateen murdered 49 people at the Pulse nightclub, which was a gay nightclub. Were the two incidents connected? I don't think so, but it sure is a hell of a coincidence. So, Omar Mateen, I don't think that he shot up the Pulse nightclub in the name of ISIS to kill homosexuals. I think it was a soft target. I don't think that it was because of guns, as the liberal Democrats, as soon as the shooting was not even 20, they hadn't even got the bodies out of the Pulse nightclub and they're blaming guns. You must curtail guns. You must curtail those scary-looking AK-47 type guns. That was their narrative. The gays community made it their narrative that Omar Mateen wanted to kill homosexuals. But if you read the report, if you read the transcripts from the phone call, Omar Mateen he pledged his allegiance to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi of ISIS, the Islamic State. He was committing jihad in the name of the Islamic State. Plain and simple. That's all there was to it. And there's a connection between that event and my last bad guy. The last bad guy or group is the Atlantic Institute. The Atlantic Institute is part of and funded by the Gulen Institute and its leader, Fethullah Gulen. How many people have heard of the Gulen movement? Okay, well, the Gulen movement is out of Turkey. The leader of Turkey now, Erdogan, you might have heard his name in news stories. He's a bad dude. Well, Erdogan and Gulen at one point were friends. They were allies. They were allies back right after Ataturk. And Turkey was very secular at one point. In fact, they outlawed the hijab. This was a guy, Ataturk. He was a secularist. And he wanted to bring Turkey into the modern era. And part of that was no hijabs. Men wore Western dress. And Turkey was thriving. Well, after Ataturk died, Erdogan and Gulen wanted to change the direction of Turkey and take it away from their secular path. They wanted to make Turkey a Sharia-compliant country. And now, through the Atlantic Institute and the Gulen movement, as they come here, and they've opened up a string of schools, Gulen movement schools. They take junkets over, free of charge. They take leaders within the community. They take them to Turkey, and they immerse them in their message, like they would try to brainwash somebody. It's incredible. Anyway, this Gulen movement, their Atlantic Institute, and if you were to go to their website, you think, oh, these guys are so nice. They talk about interfaith dialogue, bonding and communicating and building bridges, peace and love with our Jewish and Christian neighbors. And it sounds absolutely wonderful. Many of you been there with many of you. In fact, on Friday, if you're so inclined to check this out, if you find this any part interesting, on Friday, the Atlantic Institute is having an event called the Hizbut. That's their name, the Hizbut. And it's about the Gulen movement in Africa. And they're having this at their facility at 426 of Red Bug Road. Is where it's the Atlantic Institute and the Istanbul Center. But remember, Atlantic Institute, you Google it, you'll find it, go to Eventbrite, sign up to get a ticket, and I'll be there, and a couple of other people hopefully will be there. And anyway, you can learn about this Gulen movement. Well, what they did and why they made the list, besides all that, that's enough to be on the list of bad guys. But what they do is part of the civilization jihad. How many people have heard that word? Okay, in this is another must-read. It's called the Explanatory Memorandum. on the general strategic goals for the group in North America. This document is the playbook for the Muslim Brotherhood here in North America. They are so bold, they have such little respect for us, that they can make their playbook. Now, they didn't actually want it to get out, but one of their people got busted photographing the support structure of a bridge up in New Jersey. As part of the investigation, they went to his house, they got a search warrant. They went to, he had a sub-basement within his basement, and then it was a treasure trove of, of Muslim Brotherhood material. This document was submitted into evidence in the Holy Land Foundation trial, which was the largest terrorist funding trial in U.S. history. Now, in it, there's this concept called the civilization jihad. And the Ikhwan, this is their words, not me talking. The Ikhwan, that's Arabic for the Muslim Brotherhood, must understand that their work in America is kind of a grand jihad in eliminating and destroying Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house, us, by their hands, meaning our hands, and the hands of the believers. So that it is eliminated, God's religion is made victorious over all other religions. Excuse me. This is what you'll hear everybody when they talk about the civilization jihad. Here's the extra part that applies to the Atlantic Institute. Now, in order to do that, we, the Muslim Brotherhood, must possess the mastery of the art of coalitions, the art of absorption, and the principles of cooperation. What that means is blend in, be nice, and blend into the fabric of the culture in which you are at. That is interfaith dialogue. Well, the GOCAN Institute and the Atlantic Institute, that is their cover, that is their skin. That is what gives them credibility here in Orlando. They talk about building the bridges of peace and love and interfaith dialogue and all that, and they do it. They are so good at it. They are so good at it. These guys are masters. In fact, they are so good, what they do every year is they have an award that they give out to local leaders. They gave out an award in October to Jerry Demings. They gave out an award to Barbara Weinrich of the Holocaust Memorial Center. They gave out an award to one of the vice presidents of UCF and the dean of the new medical college. Now, what concerned me was the award going to Jerry Demings. He's the candidate for sheriff in Orange County. Now, I'm more concerned about influence. This is an influence operation. Yes, they give Jerry Demings an award, and everybody loves to get an award, but as a law enforcement officer, I expect more from them. I expect him to know who's getting an award from. And when you're getting an award from the Gulen movement and their history, right now they have 2 FBI fraud charges with their schools that are still in play. Gulen himself is under extradition orders by Erdogan to come back to Turkey and face trial for being a part of the coup that just took place in Turkey. This is not a good guy. Jerry Demings received an award. Now, if you're the Atlantic Institute, and you're thinking, boy, I want to give an award to the new sheriff, the long-term sheriff of Orange County, that's a guy that we want to have in our pocket. And they did. By giving the award, their influence, if they need to call up Jerry Demings a month, maybe a year down the road, they call him up and say, hey, this is Rizlik with the Atlantic Institute, and we'd like to talk to you about something that we're doing and we need your help. Jerry Demings will take that call because he'll remember the award. We don't know what else was decided. But also, Imam Busri. Remember him, number one bad guy in Orlando? Imam Musri donated $1,000 to Jerry Deming's campaign. He is also getting influence, buying influence in this case. But this story was so interesting that Channel 9 picked it up. And with help with Chris, presented the story to Channel 9. They did an investigative report. And Jerry Demings refused to comment for the investigative report. And the Gulen Institute, the Atlantic Institute, also refused to comment to Channel 9. And they were, because before they do a report, they go to the targets and they give them a chance to make their statement. They both refused. And then if you go to the Atlantic Institute site, they went on for 2 pages just tearing apart the investigative report. It's really quite interesting. So there you go. Those are the 5 bad guys. Learn. So anyway, my time is up. I can see Cindy. Anyway, I kept it short so we can have a little more Q&A, and then we can go places that you want to go, different topics. But just to recap, what did we learn today? We learned, what is the name of our enemy?
Hillary.
Right, gone in 7 days. Right, global jihad movement. And most importantly, what is the definition of peace in Islam? Dar al-Harb, Dar al-Islam. The house of war, the house of Islam. The definition of peace is when we're all in the house of Islam and they don't care whether you are Muslim or not. That's not even an issue. Don't even go there. You don't have to read the Quran, you don't have to read the Hadiths, you don't have to know about the life of Muhammad, although all those things are very important to give context. But if you know the outlook, the worldview of Islam, being Dar al-Harb and Dar al-Islam, you will have the essence of what that political ideology is all about. And just I'm going to take 1 minute to explain the glue that binds that together, is that in Islamic doctrine and theology, followers of Islam believe that Allah is the one and only God. Muhammad is one true messenger for all of mankind. That's every one of you, whether you believe in Islam or not. They do not believe in man-made law because that has been corrupted by man. They believe that the Bible has been corrupted by man. They believe the Torah and the Jewish books have all been corrupted by man. The Quran is the one book that came down from Allah, transmitted to the Archangel Gabriel, transmitted directly to Muhammad, and is uncorrupted by man. It is the exact word of Allah. What that means is that that book is here, the Bible is here, corrupted by man, in the eyes of the followers of Islam. And every other book, that if you're Christian or Jew, then you're people of the book, but you're still a demi or a second-class citizen. That's the glue that binds this all together, that they believe that Islam is the belief for all mankind has been, because their book is uncorrupted by man. That means all of our man-made laws, worthless. And if you read this book by Rollins, a follower of Islam from South Florida, he will tell you what he believes an Islamic America looks like, which he would like to see in 2064. This book is seditious, in my opinion. So if you want to put it all together, I like figuring things out backwards. Like, I want to know what the definition of peace is, an enemy's definition of peace, so then I'll know what they're going after. Just like I want to know thyself, I know that I'm fighting for freedom. I'm fighting for my representative republic. I'm fighting for my Constitution. I'm fighting for my Bill of Rights. I'm fighting for freedom. I'm fighting for 3 branches of government. I'm fighting for the right to be able to succeed or fail based on my own merits. Period. And that to me is something worth fighting for. Our enemy is fighting for the caliphate, as mentioned earlier, and they are determined. They believe, much like the Japanese did in World War II, the Shintos, they are fighting to dying for their belief is an honor. So we're fighting people who are ready to die for their cause. And they're well funded, they're well motivated, and if we're going to win it, we need to know what they're fighting for, what their definition of peace is. So that's it. Thank you very much.